Premier League videocast. I'm back for another week today. I'm the man with Ross Casey. Been on great form already this week. I was on great form last week when you were away. So
yeah, absolutely.
But let's get things started, shall we? It's the first match on Saturday between Watford and Manchester United. Watford have outperformed everyone's expectations, I think. I mean,
absolutely, yeah,
definitely mine anyway. United have been in poor goal scoring form, but they're still right up there with a chance. What do you reckon of this one, Ross?
Yeah, lots of people's tips and previews I've seen online saying that a low-scoring affair is probably the most likely, but I think that you can actually get a pretty decent bit of value by going up against that, by actually saying that both teams will score in this game. I completely understand why some people are saying that this will be a low-scoring game, especially when you look at the facts that Man United have been keeping a plethora of clean sheets. Watford have kept 4 clean sheets in their 6 games so far this season at Vicarage Road. But actually, away from home, the Red Devils are actually scoring goals pretty freely. They scored in 7 of their 9 away league games, meaning that they've only failed to score in 2 of them. And whilst Anthony Martial is possibly out injured, and he is probably their best player at the moment, recently he's actually been pushed out wide to
I've seen that.
to have Wayne Rooney back up front, and that's not really worked. But it does mean that if that is the case, it's probable that possibly Ashley Young will move out wide, and then that leaves space for Ander Herrera to start a game. And Ander Herrera is a really, really good player.
Yeah,
probably underutilised at Man United at the moment, and he could be the key to unlocking the Watford back line. So the only real bit for this tip now is, will Watford score a goal? And Watford have started to find their shooting boots a little bit now. They've actually scored 9 goals in the last 8 games after a pretty poor start of only 3 goals in their opening 6 fixtures, with the likes of Igalo and Deeney now up front starting to hit in the goals, mainly Igalo on that front, who just seems to score goals for absolute fun.
Fantasy all over.
If he's in your fantasy team, you're a very happy man, as he's pretty cheap still.
Yeah.
Actually, you can get 7-2 on Troy Deeney to score in this game. I think that's a pretty big shout. He did take 9 fixtures to actually score his first Premier League goal, but now that he's got that, he's actually got 2 in his last 3 games, plus he's on penalty duty, so I think 7-2 is a pretty decent bet there. But my outright bet for the match here, as my best tip, is both teams to score 11-10, which, up against many others who are saying that this will be a low scoring affair or under 2.5 goals, should be your best bet, but a far better value at 11-10 than the odds on for those types of bets. So I think that's a pretty decent bet.
Decent.
Looking at the outrights also for this match, Man United are currently a best price of 7-1 to win the league, which isn't bad at all when you think they're actually 4th place in the league at the moment, but only 2 points off the top of the table with Man City. So I think 7-1 is actually a pretty decent price there if you still think that they can go on and win the league.
Don't know about that.
7-1 when you.
It's a good price, but I still don't think they'll win the league. Pretty sure they won't anyway. Bet they will now.
Yeah, well, Man City, as I said, only 2 points ahead. And at evens.
Yeah.
A lot of people have them on as odds on. If you are a sort of player who likes to wager your bets or hedge your bets a little bit, Man United could be your option at 7-1.
Yeah, it's definitely a good bet.
Deeney.
That's my favourite thing ever. When Deeney scored that goal in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was the best thing ever.
If you have the chance, actually, look that up. Watford against Leicester playoff semi-final. But don't close down this video. Open up a new tab.
Yeah.
And I set it up.
And you'll understand. If you don't know that, then you'll have literally know what I'm doing. I'm just shouting Deeney. Next up, the late game on Saturday. Probably the biggest game of the weekend. Man City versus Liverpool. Klopp visits City for the first time. City obviously scored about 1 billion goals this season.
Absolutely.
So what do you reckon is going to happen here, Ross?
Well, it's quite an interesting game because obviously there's the Jurgen Klopp factor. He did suffer his first loss against Crystal Palace 2 weekends previous now. But he's played Man City plenty of times previously in the Champions League, and he's never lost to them. However, that Dortmund side is a better option than the squad that he has available at Liverpool, in my opinion. And I actually think that the best bet here is a 12-5 shot, a pretty decent price. Man City to win and both teams to score. That tip has come in the last 5 Man City home games. They've only not won 1 of their 8 home games this season in the Premier League, and that was to West Brom. Oh, sorry, not West Brom, West Ham. The other West. And And I think that they're going to win this one as well. They absolutely slaughter teams at home. They've scored a scary amount of goals, 27 goals in their 9 games on home soil in all competitions. That's almost as good as Bayern Munich. Almost. Bayern Munich are just incredible at home. And Liverpool need to score to actually win this bet for us, and I think that they will score because they've only failed to score 3 times in the last 18 matches this season, so they do get on the score sheet. Notably, it's normally only 1 goal at the moment, but that's all that we need for this bet to come in. And Man City just can't seem to keep a clean sheet. And if it's not a player like Company or Demichelis making a mistake, it's a player who has been excellent this season, but Joe Hart still managed to make that awful error against Norwich, and he still has it in him somewhere.
Yeah.
He's a 9 out of 10 goalie. He would be a 10 out of 10.
He is English though.
If he could just stop this.
So that means he has to do a few howlers every now and then.
That's true, yeah. So yeah, I think 12-5 on Man City to win, which they're most likely to do, but backing them at 4-6 it isn't that great a price. So why not go with the Man City to win and both teams to score, which has landed in the last 5 home ties, and Liverpool tend to score in their matches. So that's the reason that I'm going for that. And the outright one here, I think, to look at is also Philippe Coutinho to score 5-1. I think is a really good price. Across the board, he's kind of about 3-1, but you can get 5-1 on our Easy odds comparison. Download the app or look on our web version. And the reason that I'm backing that is because he's scored 3 goals in his last 4 games against Man City, and these sorts of stats seem to always happen yet again. It's players such as Romelu Lukaku in the last game week always scores against West Ham, and lo and behold, 25 minutes in, who scores? Lukaku. These sorts of things happen all the time, and there's something to look at if you're looking into anytime goal scorer bets. Some players just seem to have favourable teams that they tend to score against, and Man City, for some reason, is Philippe Coutinho, isn't it? 5-1. I think that's a pretty good price.
That's a really good price. He loves a good screamer, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm sorry, Jane, to interrupt again. Man City are our best price at the moment of evens. There's only 3 or 4, I think, partners that are offering evens. Most others are offering odds on for their Premier League titles.
Odds on is not good, I don't think. But yeah, that's definitely worthwhile. I think it's a pretty good bet. Apparently Sturridge might be back as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, I've read somewhere.
There you go. That will help our goal on the Liverpool front.
Yeah. Right, we're going to Sunday, next day now. London derby between Spurs and West Ham. West Ham are without Payet, massive loss.
Yeah, he's probably been the best player in the Premier League so far this season.
I totally agree. And Spurs, been playing well lately. Got a draw against Arsenal last time. What do you reckon is going to happen?
Yep, Spurs are certainly favourite of the month at the moment, especially with their young English Lions doing well in our midweek. Eric Dyer and Dele Alli in particular. If you haven't seen the Dele Alli MySpace picture that's gone viral this week, you also need to check that out. That's on our on our Easy Odds Twitter page. Check out Dele Alli's MySpace from when he looked about 7 years old, but still looked pretty gangster.
So gangster. You're going to get more gangster than that.
But yeah, Spurs are absolutely huge favourites to win this game, largely thanks to the fact that they are unbeaten since the opening round of games against Man United in a pretty unlucky 1-0 loss there. And West Ham, of course, do have Dimitri Payet out injured, who has been the absolute pivotal part to why they've been so good this season. Going forward, he's just been absolutely excellent. Possibly the best centre midfielder in the league at the moment, and he's out for around about 3 months. But they would be churlish to take West Ham lightly, because they've shown this season away from home they can beat the best of them. They've already beaten Liverpool, they've already beaten Arsenal, they've already beaten Man City away from home. So they shouldn't be taking this game lightly. And I think that the best bet here is slight odds on, which is pretty rare for me, but I'm going to go for an odds on shot here of both teams to score. Spurs have only kept three clean sheets in their 9 matches at White Hart Lane this season, and West Ham have shown with their counter-attacking that they tend to score on the road. They've scored 15 times on the road, which is just pretty amazing really for a West Ham side that for years and years and years have just been dogged rather than impressive. But under Slaven Bilic, they're a completely different team. And listen to this, they've actually managed to score 8 goals in the last 4 visits to White Hart Lane, so it's a ground that they tend to score at. So I think 4-5 on both teams to score is my best bet, but there's also some other little bits of value out there, such as an anytime goal scorer, Mark Noble, who of course is the West Ham penalty taker. I always try and take a look at the prices of penalty takers because penalties do tend to be given quite a lot in the Premier League. And Mark Noble is available at 10-1, and other partners are offering them around 6 or 7. So that's a huge difference.
Anytime.
Yeah, anytime.
Really
It's a huge difference. 10-1, best price. And also he kind of takes up pretty good positions around the 18-yard box in open play also. So I think that's a pretty decent bet. And if you're going to go for an absolute huge bet, I know that you kind of poo-pooed Man United to win the league, but how about this? Tottenham are only 5 points off the top of the league. Granted, they've never won the Premier League and they always fall short. But if you are a dreamer and you're a Spurs fan and you think this could be the season because it's quite an open race, 80-1 best price for a team that are 5 points off the top of the league, which is just massive, massive odds.
80-1. Let's put a quid on that.
Absolutely.
You could do with no Chelsea basically out the picture. That could be all right. 80-1.
Could be all right.
There's been worse 80-1 shots anyway.
There's been worse 80-1 shots.
There's value there at the very least. Okay, next day Monday. We saved the best game till last. Crystal Palace versus Sunderland. Sunderland teams seem to be on TV all the time.
Yes, it seems like Sam Allardyce has got some kind of hold over Sky.
Yeah.
But it's the Monday night game. Gary Neville, I'm sure, will be overlooking the defensive side of Sunderland's game, and that is how I think. Listen to this, guys. I actually think Sunderland might win this game. I realise that they've only won 2 of their.
Sam, you like a bit
I do like Big Sam. I do like Big Sam. Yeah. They have only won 2 of the last 20 away games, which is just pitiful. But that does include last season where they did win this fixture at Selhurst Park. And I think everyone can agree with me that Crystal Palace are a far better team away from home than they are on their home soil. They've actually only won 3 of the last 10 home matches at Selhurst Park. And I think that Sam Allardyce knows that, and he knows that the one thing that you cannot afford to give Crystal Palace is space in behind, and do not push forward, do not be on the front foot. And Sam Allardyce can set a team up to play on the back foot and soak up pressure possibly better than any other manager in the Premier League. And I think that if he manages to frustrate the Crystal Palace players and the crowd and keep it tight, 0-0 half time, maybe nick a goal previous to half time, then they can go on to win this game at a massive price of 61-10 best price. I think that's an absolutely huge price.
It's so big.
Granted, I'm sure that there will be lots of you laughing at me saying Sunderland have got no chance at all, but it's a game of football, it's 90 minutes, and Palace are just so poor when they have to be forced on the front foot and they have to break teams down. They fail to do it time and time again. And Sunderland, fingers crossed for my bet, won't do what they did at Everton and try and attack a team, which is just the worst thing that Sunderland can do, because if you leave those 4 defenders, which are all pretty poor players really, the likes of Coates, O'Shea, Brown, they're just not that very good. But if you have 2 blocks of 4 and have 8 men behind the ball, then that makes it hard for the likes of tricky, fast players like Wilfred Zaha and Yannick Bolasie to actually penetrate the back line. And I think that 61-10 is a pretty decent price there.
That's huge.
And in terms of any time, I'm going to go for my man Stephen Fletcher, Paul Jacobs' favourite ever striker. If you want to see quite how much Paul Jacobs doesn't like Stephen Fletcher, check out his PJ Speaks piece where he kind of just spent about 800 words on why he doesn't like Stephen Fletcher. However, in his last 7 games, Stephen Fletcher scored 7 goals. That's kind of passed me by. I didn't realise that until I put in my little bit of research into this game. And he's available at 4-1. He actually scored in this game last season. I think 4-1 for a player that scored 7 and 7 is pretty ridiculous odds. So I think that's the best price for an anytime scorer. And if you're going to be looking into the outright betting here, I actually tipped Sunderland to go down in my anti-post video. You can go back and watch that on our YouTube channel. I tipped them to go down at 7-2, and they've now shortened to a price of 1-4, which is, for Sunderland fans, I'm sure. They're absolute favourites. Aston Villa are 1-2, second favourites. But yeah, 1-4 from 7-2 is a huge shift. And if you think that they'll go down, that's probably not best price now. But hopefully, if you followed me from the start on the anti-post, you've got 7-2 there, and you can choose to either lay that back in now,
Yeah.
or stick with it and get your money. So, yeah, that's my tips for this week. And don't forget to subscribe and like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at easyodds.com.
Bye.
Yes.